First of all, I have to start off by saying that Ogilvy Public Relations Australia is viewed with tremendous jealousy throughout the region and actually throughout the globe. And there's a number of reasons for that. First comes the fact that you receive so many awards, both internal Ogilvy awards and external industry awards. The Impact recent award with IABC, the Gold Quill, fantastic news in ×2. Really, really great, well done. Secondly, it's the intellectual property that we see exported from the Australia office on an ongoing basis with Ogilvy Earth, Ogilvy Illumination, and that employee communications program that Impact brings to the table. First of all, Ogilvy Public Relations has really 6 different and very unique offerings in the marketplace, and within the context of specialty companies. So with Howarth, Pulse, Parker & Partners, Ogilvy Public Relations Health, and Impact and Cannings, all of those are individual practices with individual specialties that ladder up to create Ogilvy Public Relations. And those specialties are really unique. This is the only market in the world where we have individual companies that ladder up to create a great Ogilvy Public Relations offering. Yes, but let me put that in context, because in India, we're talking about 1.2 billion people. China, 1.4 billion people. You add those two together, and we're talking about 2/5 of the world population. So in terms of the impact on multinational or global brands, it is huge now, but it's going to continue to increase as the middle class within China and in India continues to increase. So within the context of Australian brands, European brands, US brands, they have the middle class in those two countries love the brands, and they represent, if you will, their move into the middle class. I think there'll be 2 different ways that the Australia plays within the context of that growth in China and India. First, in terms of the exporting of Australian brands into particularly China, I think that we're going to see an increase in that. But even more interesting that it's the export or the outbound brands from China. If I were to ask you now, name 2 or 3 Chinese brands, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. But in 5 or 10 years, you'll probably be able to answer 20 of them. So we're going to see a huge outbound business of brands into the rest of the globe, and particularly, I think, in the Australia market because of the proximity. First of all, let me put that in context of the Beijing office and our offering in China. Ogilvy is recognized as the biggest marketing brand in China. So companies that want to leave China want to leave with the brand marketing company behind them that can represent them throughout the world. So our importance in China will only help us grow those brands globally. So moving from China to Australia, China to New Zealand, China to the US, China to Europe, we'll be able to take those brands and unify them around the world, as brands really need to be done through our offerings. Ogilvy Public Relations has never been a tighter global network. Chris Graves has moved from the Asia marketplace to become the global head of Ogilvy Public Relations. I've moved from the US marketplace where I lived, although I had a global job, into the Asian marketplace. Samantha Allen has moved from the Australian office to be head of consumer marketing globally. And at the mid-level, we also have probably a dozen moves that have just happened within the last year or are getting ready to happen. And that helps create a tremendously strong agency globally. Now, in terms of challenges, I think we're going to have to manage that strong network that we've developed in terms of its growth. And how do we grow strategically? What practices do we move into? Where are our weaknesses and where are our strengths? And how do we shore up those weaknesses and really take advantages of the strength and recognize both? Tremendously exciting time, and specifically for Australia. I saw numbers from IMF yesterday that said Australia was growing fastest of all the developed countries. I think the number is 3.6. US followed at 3.0. So Australia is moving ahead, but so is the rest of Asia. So I'm excited to be here just from the perspective of what's going to happen. It's going to provide both opportunities and challenges. And we as a public relations firm sitting at the top of the market are really positioned well to help our clients move into this decade of growth.